Hi, I'm Bethany Wallace, Content Manager for College Recruiter. At College Recruiter, we believe every student and recent grad deserves a great career. We create a quality candidate and recruiter experience. Our interactive media solutions connect students and grads to great careers. I'm joined today by Faith Rothberg, CEO of College Recruiter. Faith's career has always been at the intersection of business and technology. She graduated from the University of Michigan with an MBA. She's worked as a programmer for Ford Motor Company, a manufacturing information technology consultant with KPMG, a project manager for Wells Fargo, and then staged a bloodless coup after becoming CEO for College Recruiter, founded by her husband, Stephen Rothberg. Faith, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Bethany. I'm happy to be here.
So, Faith, your professional experience has led you to manage College Recruiter, but I left out your greatest work experience, which probably prepared you for managing, leading, and training others more than anything else, and that's raising 3 wonderful children as a stay-at-home mom. Can you share with us a little bit about that experience and how that provided you with transferable skills?
Sure. So I had been in the professional world for about 8 years, 10 years, when I started to have my kids and decided to stay home after my second one was born. And what was the hardest part for me, the reason I did it, first of all, was because I felt like I wasn't doing well as a mom and I wasn't doing well in my career. It was just too much spread across. I was just spread too thin. So I decided to stay home while my kids were young. And in doing that, I think the biggest surprise I had was just how hard it is to be home every day and how many decisions you have to make. And so I think a couple of the things that I realized almost right away were transferable skills, were that you're constantly multitasking. You might have 10 things going at one time and you get interrupted all the time. And then the other thing is that you are in constant need of making decisions, from making a decision when one of the kids does something wrong to making a decision when the bathtub overflows. I mean, there's just so many different things that happen. And so you really have to think quickly and hope that you're making the right decision. And I think that was really a good basis for coming back to work.
Okay, thanks. And Faith, I know lots of stay-at-home moms struggle when they're ready to make the transition from stay-at-home mom to working mom status. How did you make the transition, and how did you know it was the right time to make that transition?
That's a great question. I don't know if you ever know exactly that it's the right time. When I made the decision to come back and start in our business, rather than going back out into a different organization, it was really good timing for the business, and it was almost good timing for me. And because of that, I felt that I needed to really evaluate it. While I was home, my identity was as a stay-at-home mom, and that was very important to me. And I was worried that I was going to be giving less or doing less for my children, even though they were older and didn't need me as much when I transitioned into the workforce. So I'd say one thing is just to be prepared for, that emotional transformation that you have to go through. It's not just quick and easy usually for people. The second thing is really the best way, I think, to transition is to actually make sure that while you're staying home with your children that you are doing some outside activities. Some of the easiest ones to do would be to volunteer at your children's school. That way you're still seeing your kids, but you are using some of your skills from your prior career or for a future career in doing those volunteer projects or type of work. And so that's something that helped me transition.
Okay. And then lastly, can you offer 3 tips to viewers who think that they might be ready to make the transition back to the workplace?
Sure. I think the very first thing that someone should do when they're going to go back into the workplace is make sure they know really what they want to do. I think a lot of times women go through a transformation when they have their kids, and what they were doing before they had children is not necessarily what they want to do in the future. For instance, they may have been in a good job, but they didn't feel like they were having an impact on society. And so they may want to change their profession. So the first thing I would say is make sure you know what you want to go back and do. And you may not always be have the luxury of doing that, but if you do, to take some time and either work with a career coach or do some things online that help you evaluate your skill set and think about what you want to do, or network with some women that are currently working in some of the fields you think you want to go into. And perhaps it means a little bit of education, going back to school for a few things, or maybe it means a transition into getting in the workplace just to get used to having a new routine of going to work, and that first job might not necessarily be what you want to do in your career, but it'll help you get back into the workforce one step at a time. The second thing then, once you know what you want to do, is actually you need to update your resume. And in the way I would do that when you're a stay-at-home mom, you do have a gap in the years of work experience, but I would use the volunteer opportunities and the things you did while you were home with the kids that show some of the great skills that you could apply in the job that you're looking for. And then the most important thing to do once you're really trying to get a job and get back in the workforce is to network. Network with everybody you know. Network from other kids' parents. You may know a lot of, you may not know a lot of the men or women, depending on who was home with the kids. If you were in an environment where there were other women or men that were home with their children and they have a spouse that's in the workforce, and you may want to reach out to that person and ask to talk to their spouse, because their spouse might actually have some great connections even if you don't know them. Network back to the people that you worked with before. It's really interesting to see where some people land. They may have taken a totally different path from the time you were out of the workforce till coming back in. And those can be some really great connections. And in order to network, I would use LinkedIn. I would call everybody you know, send emails, ask them to refer you to other people, and just be able to send your resume and be able to talk about the area that you're trying to work in, and what your strengths are and what skills you're trying to use. I think that's really, really important.
Those are great tips, Faith. Thanks so much for sharing your own experience and some good tips for our viewers. And happy early Mother's Day to you.
Well, thank you, and happy early Mother's Day to you too, Bethany.
Thank you.
With your cute little 3-year-old. And I want to tell everybody to have a great Mother's Day, and good luck with transitioning back into the workforce. It's challenging, it's nerve-wracking, but it's really fun and exciting when it's the right time. So.
Yeah, absolutely. For more information about how to transition back into the workplace, soft skills and transferable skills, you can visit our blog at collegerecruiter.com. And you can follow us on social media at Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and on YouTube.